Today on the Bandrew Says podcast, we'll be discussing YouTube canceling the 2020 Rewind, YouTube also rolling out some new chapter features, and a little bit more, so go ahead and stick around if you want, or just do it. Let's start with the saddest news that I have heard all year. You may be thinking, oh my god, there has been so much sad stuff that has happened this year. How can something be the most saddest thing of the entire year? YouTube put out a tweet this last week, and in that tweet they included a picture message, a message that was contained within a picture, and it read, 2020, period. Since 2010, we've ended the year with Rewind, a look back at the year's most impactful creators, videos, and trends. Whether you love it or only remember 2018, Rewind was always meant to be a celebration of you. But 2020 has been different, and it doesn't feel right to carry on as if it weren't. So we're taking a break from Rewind this year. We know that so much of the good that did happen in 2020 was created by all of you. You found ways to lift people up, help them cope, and make them laugh. You made a hard year genuinely better. Thank you for making a difference, YouTube. That is all that they said, and it seems to make sense to me. I don't know if they had been planning on holding off on the Rewind this year before COVID and everything else happened, or if it truly is because of all of the events of this year. But over the last couple of years, it's been impossible for them to make anything that the community enjoyed. In 2018, everybody said, oh, it's corporate, it's terrible, we hate it. Then in 2019, they decided, I guess people want a list, so they made a list. And then everybody said, it's not personal enough, no, it's terrible, we hate it. It's a lose-lose-lose for YouTube. They spend a bunch of money, everybody craps on it, they get ratioed to hell. But it is one thing that brings the entire YouTube community together to hate and crap on YouTube. I think it is important to remember that we won't actually go without a Rewind this year because the community seems to make the Rewind that the community wants. We'll see a number of Rewinds that are specific to our little niches on the platform, and it will bring us the joy. It will be exactly what we want. The ones that I've enjoyed the most have been the ones that have been uploaded to PewDiePie's channel because YouTube really does seem to be the culmination of meme culture, and his Rewinds, or the Rewinds that are uploaded to his channel, because he doesn't contribute to them really. I think he just lends his channel and his voice and personality on occasion. A lot of it is done by a third party, but they really are just a recap of the memes. They do remembrances of people who have passed away, who have had a big impact on the community, and I have really enjoyed those. I don't doubt that there will be one this year, and it's going to be bizarre to see what happens. I don't know what it will be. Maybe everybody will take a break from Rewind because nobody wants to remember this year. I don't know. I can't believe it's already November. I already can't remember this year. It feels like March still. We've entered a time warp. And to quote Simon Pegg, I hate the time warp. I hate the time warp. So how we are in November, nearing Thanksgiving if you're in the States, nearing December, nearing the end of 2020, I will never know. But YouTube has officially canceled Rewind this year. I guess we won't come together and collectively crap all over the corporate video that is Rewind. Next, in good news, we have an update and addition to the user interface for chapter markers. If you don't know what chapter markers are, in the timeline, it will tell you what section of the video you are watching, and this is generated by the uploader of the video. They add timestamps to the description starting with 00:00-intro, and then every next timestamp that you put in the description with a title, that will show up in the timeline of your video. But now, if you click an arrow next to the timeline description, you will pop up a menu that shows you all of the chapters within the video, and you can click on any of them to jump around the video. It makes it much easier to navigate around a video if you are just looking for a specific part or a specific piece of information. I think this is a great addition to the chapter marker. It is a little bit clunky, and it took me about 5 minutes to figure out how to even get this to pop up because it randomly appeared on one computer. Then I jumped onto another computer to record the screen and share it, and I couldn't figure out how to get it to pop back up. And then I mistakenly clicked on an arrow, and it popped up. And so it's not the most intuitive way to get this menu to show up, but once you know how to use it, it is awesome to have. And I am thrilled that YouTube is continuing to flush out and develop this feature set because this makes the viewer's experience so much better as opposed to people dragging on for 20 minutes trying to get a few extra seconds of watch time out of their viewers. This kind of forces people to get to the point and stop wasting people's time. And they seem to be, I don't know if rewarding is the right word because I don't think they're doing it for the uploaders. I think they're doing it for the audience. But I think the addition of these features is rewarding for somebody who has been using timestamps for years. It's just nice to see them finally doing it. And that is it for the news. Let's talk about what I've been testing, and I am back on the Neumann U67. Yes, baby, I am back. I am back on my baby. And I'm saying that because I just need to get some use out of this microphone because I need to make my money back. And I never will. I will never make my money back on this microphone because, son of a gun, too much. But I'm back on this microphone, one of my all-time favorites, amazing sounding microphone. But you tell me, does it sound amazing or does it sound like trash? Am I stupid for spending this much money on a microphone? Don't answer that. I know the answer. I already know the answer. Yes, I'm an idiot for spending this much money on a microphone. I am a fool. Don't rub it in. Bandrew's stupid. I get it. I tell myself that every morning. Let's jump to what you had to say. First comment comes from Your Home Recording Studio. They say, my RME Fireface UCX has been plugged in and turned on 24/7 since 2013. I've only shut it off a few times, mainly to move from one house to another or to rewire my rack. Still going strong after all these years. A second comment from Joseph Wilson. They say, here's some anecdotal evidence. I've had my Tascam US 2X2 interface turned on 24/7 since 2014, and it only just recently lost the first channel and now needs to be either repaired or replaced. I had my Mackie analog mixer on for over a decade before it crapped out, and that was only because a cat puked on it and shorted it out. And both of these comments are in response to a question that was sent in last week about, can you leave an audio interface on all day and all night, and will it be damaged by that? And based on this anecdotal evidence and my anecdotal evidence of leaving my interface on for hours and hours and hours, it doesn't seem to be an issue. I am sure there will always be lemons when you're buying any piece of gear, so maybe something will fail. But based on Your Home Recording Studio, Joseph Wilson, and my experience, I haven't had any issues leaving interfaces on for 12, 14 hours at a time. I've left my X8 on unintentionally for weeks at a time where I just walk out of my room and completely forget to turn it off, and no issues whatsoever. So I wanted to share some other people's experience as well to provide you some ease of mind that it's not just me talking out of my butt. Other people have similar experiences. Next, we have a comment from Alex, and they say, Bandrew, just a tip, and only for a moment. Bayer, being German, should be read like Bayer, not Bayer. First off, Alex, how dare you? I feel sexually harassed. I do not accept a tip, even for a moment. Disgusting. At least for me, not that there's anything wrong with it. If that's your cup of tea, more power to you. I hope you get a boatload of tea. But Bayer, okay, understood. It's Beyerdynamic as opposed to Beyerdynamic. It's not, they don't manufacture drugs like Bayer. I think Bayer is also a German company, are they not? Bayer? I think they are. They make drugs, and they're German. And then Beyerdynamic. I'm going to call him Beyerdynamic. That sounds German to me. I don't know why. Let's jump to something that's going to be a ton of fun to talk about. Last week, I got a bunch of comments saying, but Bandrew, your butt hurt. Your butt hurt, Bandrew. Just let YouTube do what they want. Just ban everybody. Ban everybody. Who cares? I got a lot of comments like that. Have I offended everybody yet? Good. My response to everybody leaving comments like that is how very libertarian of you, how very hands-off of you. And I think that's an interesting approach. I think that is very ANCAP, anarcho-capitalist, or anarchist, or anything that requires zero or desires zero regulation from the government. We've seen how that works. We've seen rivers catch on fire because the government says, you do whatever you want, man. Just go for it. Companies, do your thing. And then rivers catch on fire because companies say, okay, let's dump crap in the river because that's a lot cheaper than hauling it away. And I know that's a completely different thing. I just want to make a point that libertarian approaches or 100% libertarian approaches don't always work out for the best. Sometimes having a mixed approach to regulation is good. Sometimes having freedom mixed with regulation yields a better result for everybody, and you don't have complete exploitation of people, of land, of everything. To get a little bit spicy, and to be clear, I'm not trying to offend anybody here. It is just a thought experiment, and I'm using this example to drive home a point. I think it would be fascinating to see folks' response if the people who were being banned for saying Black Lives Matter, or if it was people being banned who were saying Trump's a white nationalist, fascist, dictator, authoritarian Nazi. If those were the people who were being banned, I would love to see the response and see if the response was, oh, good, yeah, private platform, they can ban whoever they want, or if it would be, hey, that's wrong for you to ban them. There's nothing wrong with those statements, so why are you banning people for it? I would love to see the thought process there. And to be completely clear, I don't think the people saying those things ought to be banned. I think they should be allowed on the platform. Ready for a hot take? I don't think anybody should be banned off the platform unless they are breaking the law. And I know that's not a popular opinion. I know there are platforms that have that approach to moderation of content, and that's fine. They just don't have the same critical mass that YouTube has. Here's another thought process. I just thought about this. What would your thoughts be if Google decided, I really don't want to return search results for this company, or this company? Would the response be, yeah, that's fine. Google's a private company. They can do whatever they want. Or would the response be, hey, you kind of have a monopoly. That's wrong of you to do. And we have seen Google sued for that. We have seen Google limit the search results for other companies and instead return search results that benefit them. They've returned their own products as opposed to their competition's products, if I'm not mistaken. And there have been antitrust lawsuits across the globe against Google. So wouldn't it be somewhat similar to say, we won't return search results for this company, or this company, because we don't want them, we don't want to support them? Wouldn't it be the same as, we don't want this person on YouTube, we'll just get rid of them, even if they aren't necessarily breaking any laws or anything like that? Does Google have the authority to say, we don't like what this company said or a policy that this company has, so we will remove them from our search results? If Apple added a policy to their company that made Google angry, could Google say, if somebody searches for Apple, we will not return any search results for Apple. Apple.com will no longer exist in the Google ecosystem. And would that be okay? I'm asking the question. And now that I have been rambling and probably not making any sense because I did not plan to talk about this topic in this way, let me reiterate the point that I was trying to make last week. I find it extremely concerning that policies can change and be retroactively enforced with zero notice to the user, with zero notice to the channel owner, and you're deleted immediately. Let me make another example. Let's say that every Sunday you go into work and you say, "Good morning, Sunday morning," and you do that for 10 years. And then one day your boss adds something to the policy at your work where you're not able to say, "Good morning, Sunday morning." And you get a letter at home, you're fired, and don't even bother coming in to pick up all of your stuff, all of your belongings, because we set it on fire out back. You may be thinking, well, this was never against the rules. And your boss says, well, we changed it on Monday. And you're fired now because you have said it for 10 years. How dare you break this policy that had not existed until Monday? But you broke it for 10 years, so how dare you? You are fired. Let me know if I'm thinking about this wrong. That seems somewhat similar. And hey, they're a private company. They can do what they want, right? They can fire people for breaking policy retroactively, I guess. That seems to be concerning. And everybody is right. YouTube can ban who they want. And if YouTube wants to go down that road, cool, go for it. I think what will happen is Section 230 reform, and then that will ultimately destroy the platform, or has a high likelihood of destroying the platform, because if Section 230 is revoked or reformed in a specific way, that will make YouTube liable for everything that is uploaded to the platform, and YouTube can be sued for hosting specific content. And guess what happens when YouTube becomes liable for everything on the platform? They become very specific about who gets to upload to the platform. You better hope that you're part of the elite, because otherwise, screw you. You won't get access to it because you would become a severe liability. If you do not have a proven track record and you do not sign a contract specifically stating that YouTube has no input on I don't even know how it would work, what the contract would have to be, because Google would still be liable for what they're hosting. It would not be good for content creators. And to wrap up this controversial topic, I will just say I am amazed how many libertarians listen to and watch this show. I have always been told and thought that libertarians were few and far between, but there seem to be quite a few of them who have congregated around this show. And hey, that's awesome. I love the idea of limiting governmental power. I also understand that there needs to be some kind of mix between it. May the government never put their foot on your neck. May the government never put their foot on your neck. But guess what? Get inside for 6 weeks or we will arrest you. Just saying. Remember, stay inside or the government will come for you. Even if you're kayaking out in the ocean all by yourself with nobody within thousands of feet, we're coming for you. We're the government. We will arrest you. Okay, that's it for that spicy topic. Let's jump to my favorite part of the show, the Ask Bandrew segment. All right, welcome back to the Ask Bandrew segment. If you have any questions, you can go to askbandrew.com and send in your questions. You can send in audio, video, or text-based questions. There are instructions on how to do that. Very simple, very straightforward. Send them in, and I will answer them on a future episode of the podcast. I am not ignoring you if you're waiting for me to answer your question. I am still working through July's submissions, so we will get to you eventually. First submission comes from an audio submitter, so let's go ahead and jump to that right now.
Hey Bandrew, I'm trying to acoustically treat my room right now and to cut down on echoes and reverb. My main goal is to cut down overall noise in my recordings, and so I can actually mix my music through my monitors without the sound being colored by the acoustics in my room. Where would you recommend I start? Are those large acoustic panels worth the money, or do those foam squares work equally as well? I kind of feel overwhelmed by all the products that are available on the market. I have a decent amount of money to spend on this stuff, but I'm also not looking to spend near $1,000 for those kits, mostly because I do this stuff for fun. Thanks for any advice you can give me.
Thank you very much for the voice submission, and the question was, does the cheap foam perform the same as the professional stuff? Does it help? Is it any good? No, cheap stuff doesn't do the same as the high quality stuff. The density of it is different, the material used is different, and it has different acoustical properties. I don't know too much about the material science of the different acoustic foam. I'm not that deep into that stuff. I just bought some stuff that seemed to work pretty well. It was well reviewed. I don't even remember what company it was. Audio something. What a shocker. So a company that makes sound treatment is called Audio something. Really helpful, I'm sure. What I would recommend as far as placement would be go check out Rode's videos. They did a series maybe a decade ago called Studio Rescue. I think that's what it was called. And in pretty much every single video, they demonstrate where to place the acoustic foam and acoustic treatment. They always have bass traps in the corners because that will help control the low end. And then they put foam panels on the wall at the area of first reflection. I think that's what it is. And it's the point where your studio monitors will reflect off of a wall first. Go watch those videos and that'll give you an idea about placement. As far as the quality of foam you ought to get, that's difficult for me to answer because, as I mentioned, I am no acoustical engineer. I am not a material scientist. I do not know that stuff, but the stuff that's $10 on Amazon isn't going to do a very good job. It may help a touch, but if you're trying to correct for your studio monitors, not going to cut it. Sorry to tell you, you may have to go with one of those kits. Those are probably going to be some of the most affordable, or you could build your own. There are some tutorials on YouTube on building your own acoustic treatment as well. Sorry I couldn't be more help. Hopefully that helped at all. Best of luck. Next, we have an email from Matthew. They say, "Hi, Bandrew. I am a recording artist and am obsessed with your mic reviews. I love ribbon mics and hope that you would review more of them in the future. I'd recommend reviewing a Golden Age Project R1, MXL R77, and Rode NTR to name a few. I bought a couple of MXL R144 mics based on your review. They surprisingly have different output levels. One is about 3.5 dB quieter than the other. I'm not sure why that would be since they are passive mics with no internal amplifiers. I have accidentally plugged them into 48 volts. And I've researched, but I found that plugging into 48 volts typically won't damage a modern ribbon mic if the cable is XLR on both sides. Other than the output level issue, there is no other audible issue that might be present with a damaged ribbon. Assuming it is not a damaged ribbon, what would possibly cause the output discrepancy between two identical ribbon mics? Matthew, thank you very much for the email. That is a great question. And again, I will start by saying I am no audio engineer. I do not know the inner workings of every piece of gear that I use. I don't know the developmental requirements for a ribbon microphone or anything. My initial thought would be it's because this is an affordable piece of gear and the manufacturing tolerances are not up to snuff, especially when you compare it against a higher quality ribbon like the Rode NTR, an AEA ribbon, or anything that is higher quality, higher price. You're going to be getting, in most cases, a better QA from the company. But as far as what's causing the difference in output level, I'm not 100% sure if the transformer would affect that because I believe the R144 does have a transformer, and I have seen blog posts about people modding the R144 and replacing the transformer with something different. I don't know if that's the case. I would think it would be the magnets surrounding the ribbon. If you don't know how a ribbon microphone functions, there are two magnets, and in between the magnets, there is that very thin sliver of metallic ribbon, and it creates a magnetic field. My guess would be the magnets from unit to unit have a different strength to them, and that leads to a different strength of signal and a different output level. I don't know if there are any fixes for that. I would highly doubt it, short of buying another one and replacing the magnets, or I don't think it would even be worth it given the price of the microphone. But that would be my guess. The magnets have a different strength because the manufacturing tolerances for these affordable microphones are so low. They may have a plus or minus 5 dB for their sensitivity and say, yeah, it's within that tolerance. That's good to go out the door. But when you look at something like an AEA KU5A, maybe they have a 1 dB tolerance. It's 1 dB quieter, that's fine. But 2 dB, we gotta recalibrate. We gotta find a different magnet or find a different transformer. And I'm not sure exactly what the tolerances are, but that would be my guess. Matthew, hopefully that helped. Glad you got the microphones. I hope you're able to get them to work. Given the different output levels, you should be able to level match them pretty well, regardless of anything else. Let's jump to the next submission, and it is a voice submission. Go ahead and take it away.
Hi, Bandrew. I'm Sandy from Culture Digger Podcast. I'm using Samsung C01U Pro for this recording and have got a long, strange question about the bit depth and rate in aspect of the increasing of DAW stability. I'm sorry, I'll have to speak faster because it's a long question. So, I gave to my friend my Samsung mic. It can record 16 bit up to 48 kHz. He used Logic Pro with it, and suddenly, after reopening project containing at least 20 small clips of recording of Samsung, he got 5 clips or more ruined by DAW. There was a notification that few clips got unreadable 8-bit rate without any reason. So, if you try to play these clips, they sound like a white noise. Very sad situation that repeated with few projects in his DAW. After some troubleshooting, we found that at the moment of the crash he had 24-bit and 48 kHz for built-in audio of his MacBook Pro, which was now equal to setting of Samsung audio interface that was set to 16-bit and 44 kHz. I think now that problem is that he had to change output audio interface during the work in DAW between built-in and Samsung. After setting the same bit depth and rate in both interfaces, the problem has disappeared. I understand that you're not one of the Apple support guys, but have you met similar issues? Is it okay to think that every audio component being plugged to working station should have the same rate and bit depth configured for the exact project? So, in your opinion, does it exist? Or should I address this question to your conspiracy corner? Thank you for the answer. And let me to say some few thankful words. I have finally driven my English-speaking podcast after your motivating videos. I remembered about my child dream of being radio broadcaster only now. So thank you so much, Bandrew, especially for that video, how to make a podcast. I would be glad to your remark on my sound and English. That's not a native language for me. Many thanks. Kind regards, Sandy.
Well, that sounds like a big issue. There is nothing worse than opening up a file and finding out that certain regions within that file have been corrupted. However, I don't think I have ever had that precise situation or that precise issue. I think, to summarize what you said, that the issue was you had a sample rate and a bit depth mismatch with the microphone and your DAW, both of them. Different bit depth and different sample rate for the DAW and for the microphone, and that makes sense that there would be some issues there. But the thing that was confusing, unless I'm completely mistaken, I think you said that only a couple of the regions had been corrupted. Everything else had maintained or continued to exist. If the entire thing had been corrupted, if every single audio file recorded with that microphone had been corrupted, that would make sense that it was due to the sample rate and bit depth mismatch. But if only a couple of them had been corrupted, I don't know what would be causing that. I think you have gremlins in the system and they need to be hunted. You need to hunt down the gremlins, find them, and don't feed them after midnight, and do not get them wet. But that would be my guess. I have had something somewhat similar in Final Cut Pro, where I open up Final Cut and then certain regions no longer are linked to the external files, even though the external files are still there. Then I have to re-import those files and edit from scratch, and it is an absolute nightmare. Luckily, this has only happened a couple of times. Knock on wood, I know when I'm editing this podcast now that exact thing is going to happen. I'm going to have files get lost and my life is going to suck. But I don't know exactly what would be causing that. I want to pass the question off to anybody watching or listening to this. Have you had anything similar to that where specific regions in your DAW become corrupted? And do you know what caused that? Was it a sample rate and bit depth mismatch? Or was it a gremlin? What other issue could be causing only specific regions in your DAW, in your session file, to become corrupted? Let me know. Comments down below on YouTube. Next, we have an email, and it says, a long time ago, you tested the Beyerdynamic TGV70 without mentioning your opinion, whether it can be used for spoken word and how well it sounds. Please tell us your opinion now! All caps. Now! Smiley face. Please bring pizza pronto. Your standard pop test, but what's behind that sentence? Maybe you should consider changing the pizza maker if you have to wait that long. And I have a request. Please test the T-Bone MB85 beta. Thank you for your podcast. I enjoy them, and I think it helps me improve my English skills. I like your sense of humor. Best wishes from Berlin, Miko or Maiko? Miko or Maiko, thank you very much for the kind words, and thank you very much for the question. I have yet to test out any Thomann gear. I have yet to start buying that stuff. I don't really want to open that can of worms because then I have to review I would end up wanting to review every single piece of gear that they have. And I have stacks of gear that I have to review that I want to get to before I open myself up to an entire new genre of affordable gear, because then my life becomes an ever-living nightmare of stacks of gear just falling over on me. Just let me clear out what I have, and then I will eventually get to it. But as far as the phrase, please bring pizza pronto, what is the origin of that? I like pizza, and there are a lot of peas in it. It makes for a good plosive test. There's no real story behind it. Please bring pizza pronto. Lots of air leaves my mouth with that phrase, and that's why the phrase exists. No reason whatsoever other than the fact that there are a lot of peas in the phrase. Let's jump to a test, because you asked about the TGV70, so let us jump to that, and I will share my opinion in this clip. All right, here we are on the Beyerdynamic, got it right, TGV70D, whatever the model number is. I just wanted to give you a sample of me speaking into this so you can get a good feel for it. Now I'm going to jump to one of my favorite all-time handheld dynamic microphones so you can hear how it compares to that. And here we are on the SE Electronics V7, one of my all-time favorite handheld dynamics, around $100, and the thing that I enjoy about this the most is it is relatively neutral, especially compared to a lot of handheld dynamics that have a huge boost in the presence treble and sometimes air. The V70 has a big boost in the treble range, which gives it quite a top-heavy sound, but it still maintains a relatively smooth sound. It is one of the more pleasing, very boosted microphones out there, but this is one of my new all-time favorite handheld dynamics, and I say new because I think I reviewed this after the Beyerdynamic. So I wanted to share how this sounds compared against the Beyerdynamic or the Beyerdynamic, whichever one is correct. And to answer the question, what are my thoughts on the Beyer TGV70D, VD, whatever the hell the name is? Not VD. For spoken word, I think it is very crisp, and I think something you will have to pay attention to are your plosives, because it's picks up quite a lot of that, and if you're handling it, it does pretty good with handling noise, but still gonna pick that up, so just touch it lightly as you're moving it around. All in all, I think it's perfectly fine if you're going for that brighter, more boosted top-end sound, as opposed to a more flat, neutral sound like the SEV7 or a darker sound like the SM58. I can't tell you which one's right for you. That's going to be something you have to decide on, but this just gives you a little bit of context and a little bit of samples and my thoughts. I think it would work great for spoken word if you're looking for that very bright sound, because they do the very bright sound pretty darn well. There you go. Hopefully that helped. Best of luck on your decision-making process. There you go, Maiko. I apologize for mispronouncing your name. I hope that helped you. Let's jump to one last Ask Bandrew section, and this is another voice submission.
Hey Bandrew, simple question hopefully. What handheld mics around the price of the SM58 would you recommend that has good plosive rejection? Because the Lewitt I currently use is absolutely terrible at plosive rejection, despite it, being advertised as a live microphone. Recommendations would be helpful. Thanks.
Alrighty, what a great question, and you know what I am going to do. Let us jump to a test of the microphones. Let's do it right now. Alrighty, I have a very fun test planned for you, and that is going to be test the plosives on a bunch of $100 handheld stage dynamic vocal microphones. Because what better way than to demonstrate which one performs the best at rejecting plosives, because this Lewitt that I'm using, the MTP-250DM, is terrible with plosives. I have my gain on the 18i20 set to 9 o'clock. I will level match every single one of these samples, and I will just go through each of them and do some plosives directly into them, and then off at a 45-degree angle. Starting with the Lewitt. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Now on the SM58. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Now on the Electro Voice ND76. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Now on the Sennheiser E835. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Now on the AKG D5. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. And lastly, we have the SE Electronics V7. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. There you go. That is a test of 6, if I'm remembering correctly. 6 handheld dynamic mics around the $100 price point. Listening back to the tests, the one that seemed to do the best in terms of plosive rejection was the AKG D5, but I thought that it had the most unnatural sound to it. But if you're simply looking for plosive rejection, I think the AKG D5 did the best. The E835 also did a fairly good job. A lot of them still don't do very well. I don't know how so many handheld microphones that are intended for stage use, for singing, do a poor job with plosive rejection. I think there is an assumption being made at some point in the manufacturing process that singers are going to have proper microphone technique and hold it off to the side, or that they will throw a windscreen on top of it, or they're just making the trade-off. Because as you add more foam, you're affecting the tone of the microphone. They want a specific tone out of the microphone, and they favor the tone over the plosive rejection. That's my take on it. But let me know what you thought in the comments on YouTube. Which of the microphones that I tested there did you think had the best plosive rejection? I thought the AKG D5 and the E835. Hope that helped you. Best of luck on your picking out of microphones. And I think that's going to wrap up for this week. I hope you're all doing well. You may be thinking, Bandrew, you keep missing episodes. You keep missing these. Where have you been? We want you to make a podcast. I'll be honest with you. I have not been the happiest person in the world. And the last couple of months, this podcast has seemed like a chore to me. And I want to ensure that I don't start hating making this show, and I want to be excited to make the show. So sometimes I just don't do anything on Sunday. Sometimes I need a break because I work every single day of the week, Saturdays, Sundays, 7 days a week, 45 hours at my day job and then YouTube in the evenings, and it wears you the F down. And I've been doing it for 5 years, 6 years now. I've been uploading to YouTube since 2005, but consistently for 5.5 years, I don't even know anymore. It's all a blur. So that is why I've been missing weeks here and there. I've been extremely distracted with everything going on in the world. And I must say, we're living through the Chinese curse. If you don't know what that is, it's the phrase or the wish, may you live in interesting times. And son of a gun, we live in very interesting times. That's all I can say. So I apologize if you're slighted, if you're angry that I am missing episodes. I'm not a machine. I need breaks sometimes. And I want to ensure that I enjoy doing this. I want to ensure that I'm able to continue doing it for decades to come. I want to scream at you for decades, not just a couple of years. I don't want to burn the candle at both ends and then realize, I guess I'm done now. I hate everything about YouTube and podcasting. That would be stupid. I hope you understand. I hope you had an amazing week. I hope you have an amazing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next Sunday, I will talk to you. I hope you had an amazing Halloween. Have I spoken to you since Halloween? How was your Halloween? Did you do anything? What did you dress up as? Let me know in the comments down below. Can you believe in the US it's almost Thanksgiving? I hope you had an amazing week. I hope you have an amazing upcoming week. And I will talk to you next week. I love you so much. You're amazing. You're beautiful. People like you. You are fascinating. Avoid the crazies out there because they are roaming the streets. All right. Talk to y'all later. Bye.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer is Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.